Right, good evening all. Hope you're all well. Before I start my speech, I just want to make a slight comment about what my son says. This is a theory I've had for a long time. I'm observing what's happening around the world. Not saying much, but I've read in the Bible about what the Apostle John says. And also I've read a comment that the I read it somewhere that the Muslim made about the end and compare with the Bible, because they've got their own theory. And I put the two together, and it seems to match fairly well about what the young Greta's doing at the moment. So my theory is that Satan started with a woman, is going to end up with one. He's using us, he's using a woman to do his dirty deeds, but that's a theory. It is my theory. We shall see if it's true or not. Right. Tonight I'm going to speak about, it's not winemaking, it's about the people who look after the vineyards. During the summer I went back to my country for a holiday on my own. Nobody with me, just to visit my mother and have a well-deserved rest. And there was a festival which only happened every 21 years. It's not something we do all the time. It's all about, what shall we say, crowning the best people who look after the vineyards. It takes a lot of effort. We all like eating grapes. They look nice, they're lovely, they're sweet, but it takes someone to look after the plants. And for this year, for the first time, a woman was crowned, a queen. We normally have men, always been, but for the first time there was a woman. So that's something great, something to celebrate. Also, it started in 1797, and it's every 21. It's an average of 21 years, and try to think of my wording. It's because I've got to translate. I've read a book in French, and I've got to translate. This is all in my head at the moment, partly. It started in 1797, and it's always on an odd number of years. It never happened on an even. And there's been 3 so far in my life. And it was 77 was the first one, 99 was the second, and 2019 is the third one, which is only 20 years. But because next year is an even year, so they had to do it this year or in 2 years' time. And it's the origin is all about Roman gods. The festivities they use Roman gods. It's an old story. The first god they had is Pallas, which is a god of spring farming. The second is Ceres, which is a god of the farming of the field in the summer. This is how I translated it. The third one is Bacchus, which is a god of agriculture and wine in the autumn. And the fourth one is Janus, I don't know how you pronounce it, the god of the 2 faces representing winter. So they use those seasons of the year, those Roman gods, to make this festival in an arena. They build a big arena, and they do lots of dancing, singing, and without forgetting the cows, because we've got lots of cows. Originally, the first one who planted the vineyard in Switzerland was the monks. So they are the first one who worked the ground to flatten it, plant all the vineyard. And they had a slogan, which is, I'm going to find it. Where is it? Oh, ora and labora, which means pray and work, which we all do. every now and then. And yeah, they were working throughout the century. Farmers did the work. Then during wartime, the soldiers chipped in and had to do the work, as well as the farming and everything else. And it's a big celebration, but it's not that often. And I went on the spiritual aspect. Our spiritual life is exactly the same thing. Our Father in heaven is a gardener, and he's pruning us spiritually so we can grow even further and bear more fruit in Christ. And that you'll find us in John 15, verse 1 and 8. It's all in there. I won't read it, but you can read it yourself. And yes, that's about it, basically it. It's all about big festival with a lot of people singing and celebrating the fruit of the earth. That's it.